It's Friday, it's August, and we're just days away from the new Scottish Premiership season kicking off. And for Celtic fans, that familiar mix of hope, nerves, and sheer anticipation is back in full force. After a summer that felt long and, let's be honest, a bit chaotic at times, the boys are filtering back into action, and with them comes a wave of expectation. Brendan Rodgers is at the wheel, the squad's taking shape, or at least trying to. And there's a flag to be unfurled. On Sunday. So yeah, it's real now, the talking stops and the football begins. But before we look ahead, let's rewind just a little. Preseason was, well, it was exactly that, preseason. A mix of promising moments and real head scratchers. Wins against the likes of Newcastle and Sporting Lisbon gave fans something to hang on to. Performances looked sharp in patches, and some of the new boys, especially Benji Negron, started to show flashes of brilliance. But then came the wake-up calls. The Ajax game in particular raised a few eyebrows and probably one or two blood pressures. No panic buttons were hit, but let's not sugarcoat it. There's concern, and a fair bit of it, especially with the Champions League qualifiers looming. And that's really where the heart of the debate lies: recruitment. For a third straight year, Celtic head into a pivotal moment in their season, possibly season-defining, without having the full squad nailed down. It's like deja vu at this point. Every summer we talk about how important it is to get business done early. Every year, for one reason or another, it drags. And here we are again on the brink of the season, still with question marks in key areas. The attack in particular looks lighter than it should. If Dyson Maeda or James Forrest pick up knocks, the drop-off in depth is worrying. Yang's still raw. Tilio's not fully settled, and Kyogo, brilliant as he is, needs backup. Someone who can push him or at least keep standards high when he's rested. The frustration isn't just about who's not here yet, it's about the timing. Fans know the drill by now. A few solid signings might still come in, but they'll arrive mid-August needing time to settle, to adjust, to learn the system. And by then, the early Champions League games could be over. That's the danger. That's the same pitfall Celtic have danced around before, and occasionally fallen straight into. The reality is simple: Europe doesn't wait. The Champions League doesn't care about your recruitment cycle. And with the format changing this season, every point is even more valuable. Still, not everything is doom and gloom. There's a real buzz around Benji Negron, for example. Signed early, bedded in during preseason, and already looking like someone who can dictate games. That's what you want from a new signing. Someone who doesn't just fill a shirt but takes control of matches, looks comfortable, confident, like he belongs at Celtic Park. He's not the only one either. There's excitement over Kieran Tierney's return. A Celtic boy back home, bringing grit, leadership, and quality. If he stays fit, he transforms that left side completely. And if Alistair Johnston and Carter Vickers get up to speed quickly, the backline starts to look solid again, even if there's a bit of a logjam at centre-back right now. That brings us to the latest noise in the transfer market. Jemai Simpson-Pusey, on his way to Glasgow Medical, lined up. A loan deal, no option to buy. Classic Citigroup stuff. But there's potential here. The kid's highly rated, featured for Manchester City in big moments last season, and if he's trusted to come in and start, it suggests he's not just here to make up the numbers. Celtic's history with City loanies is mixed, but there's cautious optimism this one could click. Alongside that, there's interest in Swedish defender Victor Eriksson, currently playing in Belgium, potentially available for around $2 million. A right-footed centre-back, solid frame, decent on the ball. It's not glamorous, but it's the kind of profile that fits what Celtic need, especially if someone like Stephen Welsh is heading out on loan, or if a big offer comes in for Carter Vickers. Let's talk about Carter Vickers for a second, because he's the guy at the back. When he's fit, Celtic are a different team. There's calm, there's organization, there's trust. But with the transfer window open and the Premier League always watching, there's a real fear that a late offer could test the club's resolve. And selling him, even for big money, would be a massive step backwards, especially this late in the window. That's why fans are anxious, not just about who's coming in, but about who might leave. Because as strong as Celtic's starting 11 can be, the depth still isn't quite where it needs to be. And one injury or transfer could tilt things out of balance again. Now, Flag Day is coming. The return to Celtic Park. Paul McStay, the maestro himself, will be the man unfurling the league flag. A club legend, a true one club man, and one of the most respected players in Celtic's history. Even though he didn't play in the most dominant Celtic sides, his class was undeniable. The kind of player you build teams around. And for younger fans, it's a chance to see that connection between past and present, between tradition and future. It's fitting, it's symbolic, and it should set the tone for the day. But sentiment doesn't win matches, and St. Mirren won't be rolling over. They've caused problems before. Strong, organized, dangerous on the break. They're the type of team that can make an opening day miserable if Celtic aren't sharp. So the lineup on Sunday matters. Brendan Rodgers has decisions to make. Alistair Johnston and Carter Vickers might not be match fit. Does that mean Anthony Ralston comes in? Does Trusty or Scales partner Simpson Pusey? If he's registered in time, Tierney looks locked in at left back midfield, seems more stable. And there's a lot of eyes on how Rodgers uses Negron. Partnering him with Rayo Hatare and Callum McGregor could create a real engine room. A mix of technique, creativity, and leadership that few teams in the league can match. Up front, Kyogo probably starts, but if Rodgers wants to give someone like Yamada minutes, it might come off the bench. James Forrest might be the safe bet on the right, mate on the left. But again, with injuries or just lack of rhythm, there's always room for surprises. It's not just about who starts, it's about who can take their moment. The Celtic bench might hold the key this season. And that's why depth is so important. And it's not just about Sunday. The bigger picture is always Europe. And both fans and pundits seem to agree, and the Champions League group stage is within reach, but the margins are tight. The draw will be harder this time. The format's changed. It's no longer just about surviving the group. It's about ranking high enough to stay alive past the first phase. Everyone's predicting that Celtic will make it, but not many are. Confident about progressing further. There's belief, but also realism. To survive in Europe, you need consistency, you need quality, and you need players who can step up when the spotlight's on. And that's why this window still feels unfinished. Everyone's saying it. Bring in a couple of dynamic wingers, a true striker who can either partner or push Kyogo and Celtic go from almost ready to serious contenders, at least domestically, and maybe for some progress in Europe. The bones of the squad are strong, the spine is solid, but the wings, both literally and metaphorically, need a bit more muscle, and that's what will make the difference. So yeah, the optimism's cautious right now. Celtic are favorites for the title again. Every single pundit, every fan on the podcast rounds, they're all saying it, but no one's expecting it to be a cakewalk. Rangers look stronger. Hearts, Hibs, even Aberdeen, they're all looking sharper. The league could be tighter, games could be scrappier, and dropped points could come back to haunt you more than ever. Still, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Some of the most memorable seasons in Celtic's history came when the pressure was high and the title race was close. Fans remember those. They live for those. When every goal matters, when every slip costs you something. That's what creates drama. That's what builds legends. And this season feels like it's heading in that direction. A big season for Brendan Rodgers, possibly his last. That's the feeling among many. A year to go out on top. A year to prove something again. But to do that, Celtic need to be ruthless. In the market, on the pitch, in the moments that matter. There's still time. The transfer window is open. The games haven't started yet. The season hasn't been written, but make no mistake that it starts now. And once the season kicks off on Sunday, the talking fades. And all that really matters is the football. The first whistle, the first tackle, the first goal. That's when everything gets real. And Celtic more than most know how crucial a strong start is, especially in a year where the margin for error might be razor thin. The atmosphere at Celtic Park on Flag Day is always electric. It's a celebration of what's come before. Another title, another year of domestic dominance. But it also comes with expectation. The crowd isn't just there to clap and sing and cheer. They're there to see this new-look Celtic take shape, to see if the hype, the rumors, the summer debates will translate into something tangible on the pitch. And Brendan Rodgers, he knows it. There's no easing into this one. There's pressure to deliver from minute one. And that pressure is only intensified by how Celtic approach games like this. Traditionally, they come flying out of the traps. High press, fast tempo, quick passing, especially under Rodgers' previous spell and under Postecoglou. But with the tweaks Brendan's made in preseason, there's still a bit of uncertainty about exactly what kind of Celtic we'll see this time. The signs have pointed to a more measured build-up, more control in possession, and perhaps a bit more tactical flexibility. That's not necessarily a bad thing. In Europe especially, that could be crucial. But in the Premiership, where games are often won by sheer relentlessness, the fans are going to be watching closely to see if the identity remains sharp. And that brings us back to the squad. Right now, it feels like Celtic are walking a tightrope. The quality is there, no question, but it's thin in some areas, especially up top and out wide. There's a clear reliance on players like Kyogo and Maeda to carry the attack, and while both are capable of brilliance, the lack of serious depth means an injury or a dip in form could cause big problems. And the club knows that. That's why so much of the current conversation is still about recruitment. Not just bringing in warm bodies, but signing players who are ready to make an impact immediately. Supporters are desperate to avoid another scenario where new signings arrive in late August, spend weeks adjusting, and only become influential halfway through the season. Or worse, never fully settle. It's happened before. There's a catalog of names who arrived with hype but never delivered. And Brendan's words in recent interviews, while calm on the surface, suggest that behind closed doors, he's pushing hard for the right kind of additions. He's been around too long to be fooled by shiny CVs or potential alone. He wants players who can play Celtic football and play it now. And one name that keeps popping up is Simpson Pusey, coming in from Manchester City on loan with no option. To buy. That last detail stings a bit for fans, because it means best case scenario he shines here and goes straight back to City. But right now, with Champions League qualifiers around the corner and a real need for quality at the back, it might just be the kind of stopgap Celtic have to accept. What matters more than anything is whether he can hit the ground running. And if he can form a quick partnership with Carter Vickers, assuming both are fit, that gives Celtic the stability they'll need, not just in the league, but in Europe too. That defensive solidity is key, because the reality is this: in the Champions League, Celtic aren't just up against good teams, they're up against elite ones. Any mistake, any moment of disorganization gets punished. And with the new league format, structure where every point counts, there's no room for learning on the job. This isn't the group stage of old where you had a couple of games to find your rhythm. This is pressure from the first kick. That's why some of the most important signings Celtic could make aren't just about flair or attacking stats. They're about temperament, leadership, readiness. Players like Negron look the part already, and his development in preseason is exactly what you want to see. He's adapted quickly, he's got an eye for a pass, and he's got that composure in tight areas that separates good midfielders from great ones. The idea of him playing alongside Hatate and McGregor, two of the most intelligent and technically gifted midfielders in the league, is mouth-watering. It's a trio that could dominate games, create chances, control tempo, and give Celtic a genuine foothold in Europe. But it's not all nailed down. Questions still linger about Paulo Bernardo. He showed flashes last season, and there's hope he can become more consistent. But the clock is ticking. The same goes for players like Yang and Tilio, who may have talent but haven't yet convinced they're ready to start every week. That's why the next few weeks in the window are so crucial. If the right players come in, a dynamic winger, a physical striker, maybe even one more central defender, suddenly the squad goes from nearly there to genuinely complete. Still, for all the talk about transfers and tactics, there's something else that might define this season competition. For the first time in a while, there's a sense that the league might be genuinely competitive. Rangers have strengthened, and whether or not their signings gel remains to be seen, but they'll push Celtic harder than last season. Hearts and Hibs are building solid squads too. Aberdeen are no longer a soft touch. Across the board, the standard might just be going up, and that's not a bad thing. A tighter title race keeps everyone on edge. It demands more consistency, more focus, more ruthlessness. And that in turn sharpens Celtic. You look back at the most memorable title wins in the club's recent history. They were the ones where nothing came easy, where every away day mattered, where goal difference could swing a season. And if 2025-26 turns out to be one of those years, the team that's better prepared mentally, not just tactically, will come out on top. And that's where Brendan Rodgers has his biggest role to play. Tactically, he's evolved. He's more pragmatic, more balanced than he was during his first Celtic stint. But where he truly needs to make a difference is in the mentality of this squad. Can he create that siege mentality, that hunger to prove people wrong, that refusal to settle for second best? Can he make guys like Adamu or Yamada believe they belong at this level? And not just as passengers, but as leaders, because Celtic, for all their dominance, have fallen short in Europe time and again. The away form's been better recently, sure. But to really make a dent in the Champions League, you need more than flashes of brilliance. You need belief. You need identity. You need to walk into games against European giants and play your football. That's what the best teams do. And that's what Celtic under Rodgers have to find again. And make no mistake, Rodgers knows that this might be his final season in charge. That's the whisper behind the scenes. It's not confirmed, and maybe he extends for another year. But the feeling among fans, pundits, even within the dressing room, is that this is it. One last go. One last chance to cement his legacy, and that adds weight to everything. Every signing, every team talk, every substitution. If he wants to go out with a bang and not a whimper, he'll need to be bold. In the market, on the training pitch, in the press. No half measures, no safe bets. And maybe that pressure will bring the best out of him and out of this team, because there's still a lot to be excited about. A squad that, while not perfect, is still packed with talent. A midfield that could become one of the most creative and controlling units in Europe. A home atmosphere at Celtic Park that turns ordinary nights into something mythical. And a fan base that, no matter how frustrated they get about signings or structure or boardroom decisions, will fill every seat every game and sing their hearts out. That's the real Celtic. That's the weight of the jersey. That's the expectation. The pressure and the privilege. And it all begins again, now. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. In what could become one of the most audacious and talked about transfer stories in recent Scottish football history, there is growing speculation that Celtic Football Club are on the verge of pulling off a sensational coup by bringing global midfield sensation Martin Odegaard to Glasgow. Though nothing has been officially confirmed by either club or the players' representatives, murmurs have been intensifying from several corners of the footballing world, suggesting that the Norwegian captain is close to agreeing terms with the Hoops. If true, this would be a monumental statement of intent from the Parkhead side, one that would echo far beyond the Scottish Premiership. Odegaard, currently shining on the Premier League stage, has long been admired for his exquisite touch, tactical intelligence, and leadership both on and off the pitch. With rumors swirling about his potential departure from Arsenal due to unrest behind the scenes or a shift in the club's strategic vision, the idea of a move north may not be as far-fetched as it initially seems. While some consider this merely transfer window fantasy, sources close to the Norwegian camp have hinted at ongoing discussions, sparking wild excitement among Celtic supporters dreaming of a marquee signing unlike any seen at the club in recent memory. Should this move materialize, it would mark a seismic shift in Scottish football's landscape, elevating Celtic's ambitions not just domestically but across Europe. Odegaard's presence in the midfield could be a game changer for Brendan Rodgers' tactical setup, offering both creative depth and an unmatched ability to control the tempo of matches. His vision, combined with Celtic's fluid attacking style, has the potential to unlock even the most resolute of defenses, from Ibrox to the Champions League group stages. There is chatter that Odegaard has been intrigued by the idea of becoming the talisman for a storied club steeped in history, tradition, and relentless fan support. Such a role would place him at the center of a revitalized European push for Celtic, whose supporters have long yearned for a return to the glory nights under the lights at Paradise. Whispers from within the Celtic Park corridor suggest that the board, flush with recent Champions League revenues and strategic backing, might just be ready to make a bold financial leap to secure a player of this caliber. While the move remains speculative, its mere possibility has sent shockwaves through the footballing community, with pundits and fans alike daring to dream. Celtic's track record of nurturing and revitalizing top-tier talent might be a pivotal factor in Odegaard's rumored consideration. The club has historically provided a platform for players to express themselves freely, to play expansive football, and to become fan favorites, legends even. The likes of Henrik Larsson, Shunsuke Nakamura, and most recently Kyogo Furuhashi, all found an environment at Celtic conducive to both personal and professional growth. Odegaard, still in the prime years of his career, could see the move as a chance to reignite his love for the game away from the intense spotlight of the English media. Reports from Norwegian outlets have even gone so far as to claim that the EU player has privately expressed admiration for the club's ethos and identity. If Celtic manage to secure Odegaard's signature, it may also inspire a new wave of Scandinavian talent to consider the Scottish Premiership as a viable and prestigious destination. More importantly, it would reassert Celtic's place not only as Scotland's dominant footballing institution, but as a club capable of attracting players with Champions League pedigree and worldwide acclaim. For now, though, the Hoops faithful can only wait and dream. Of course, skeptics will argue that a move of this magnitude may be beyond Celtic's financial reality, citing the considerable wage packet and transfer fee that Odegaard would likely command. However, football is increasingly a sport where the improbable often becomes reality under the right circumstances. Factors such as player ambition, the allure of guaranteed European football, and a passionate supporter base can outweigh purely monetary concerns. Moreover, there are whispers that Odegaard's relationship with certain figures at Arsenal has cooled, perhaps opening a window of opportunity for Celtic to enter the conversation. If the Norwegian were to prioritize a new challenge over Premier League glitz, Celtic Park could offer him an iconic stage to inspire and lead. Behind the scenes, there are hints that Celtic's hierarchy have already conducted preliminary groundwork, possibly engaging with Odegaard's representatives to test the waters. For a club that has long prided itself on its global reach and influence, this rumored pursuit could be the beginning of a bold new era. Until official word breaks, speculation will only intensify, especially as the transfer deadline looms and fans scrutinize every social media hint and training ground absence. Whatever the truth may be behind these whispers, one thing is certain. The mere mention of Martin Odegaard in the same breath as Celtic has electrified discussions in pubs, on radio shows, and across fan forums from Glasgow to Oslo. It represents a tantalizing what-if scenario, one that cuts through the summer, lull and reignites the dreams of supporters who crave European nights and domestic dominance in equal measure. As the rumor mill continues to churn, all eyes will be on both Celtic's transfer activity and Odegaard's next moves in public and private. Even if the deal does not come to fruition, it signals a level of ambition from Celtic that supporters have long been demanding. And should it somehow all fall into place, the arrival of a world-class midfielder like Odegaard would undoubtedly write a new chapter in the club's illustrious history. For now, it remains a whisper, a tantalizing possibility, but in football, rumors have a habit of becoming reality, and in Glasgow's East End, that possibility is enough to keep hope burning as the green and white faithful dare to dream of what could be. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.